Hello, welcome. This is Stuart, classical record collector, and I also sell classical records on my website, lpclassical.co.uk. And I've got a bit of news. Now, as you know, I'm a vinyl nut, I'm a vinyl freak, and um, for the last 6 months or so, I've been mainly listening to vinyl. But this will surprise you, I've actually signed up to Spotify. Now, let me explain. Spotify, streaming service, never thought I would sign up for it. I never really explored Spotify. I never really investigated it to see what it's offering. However, um, I managed to get hold of a piece of equipment which has kind of transformed my online listening experience, and it's this. I'll show you. Now, don't groan. Don't groan. I know it's a sound bar. It's a Sony sound bar, and I've also got a subwoofer. The subwoofer's under the table. You'll forgive me for not proving that to you and showing you it. So yeah, the subwoofer's about sort of, about that size, sort of the size of a medium speaker. Now, the reason I've got this is because I helped somebody recently with a house clearance, and she said to me, if there's anything left over, you can have it. Now, there were one or two things, in fact, that she had, which I wouldn't have minded having. For example, she had some Mission speakers, floor standing speakers, which, all right, you can get them secondhand now for about 60 or 70 pounds, but I wouldn't have minded having those. But she decided to take that with her together with some other pieces of hi-fi equipment, which is fair enough. That's okay. But she did leave this behind, and I asked if I could have it, a sound bar, because I thought, I can connect my laptop to this and it will improve my listening experience. My laptop is an Acer laptop. It's a very good laptop, but it's got very poor sound quality on it. The sound level is also very low. And I thought with this being Bluetooth, it could really improve things a lot. So I connected it all up, and with the subwoofer woofer and everything connected up by Bluetooth, so there's no wired connection. And I was very impressed with the results. I thought, oh, this is absolutely fabulous, much better than it was before. Very, very good. Now, I decided, I can't remember why, but I decided to go and check out Spotify. So I went to Spotify, and I don't really know how to put this, but I was so impressed with Spotify that I used it for about 5 days with the ads running. And I decided to sign up mainly because when I realized that there are playlists, 60s, 70s, 80s playlists of different genres of music, and that I could listen to virtually any piece of music from the pop and rock world that I want to from those decades. I mean, I'm mainly a classical fan, but I'm also prepared to listen to that kind of music, the music that I grew up with, and to think that it's all there, all the albums I missed out on at the time, I can now catch up on, and I'm actually discovering a lot of new pieces from those years that I didn't even know about. It's been absolutely amazing. So listening through this soundbar, it provides quite a good listening experience on streaming, and I'm sort of delighted with it. However, I decided to try it out on classical because my mind was racing and I was thinking, well, this is really quite impressive. What's it like on classical? Okay, I tried it on classical. The results weren't so good. I think probably the reason the results are not so good is because I mainly listen to classical music and I listen on vinyl. So I'm comparing. I probably got a greater knowledge of how classical music should sound and how I like it to sound compared with pop and rock music, which, you know, I mean, any reasonable system for pop and rock is probably going to be good enough for me, and this system certainly produces good enough sound quality. Now I know that comparing this soundbar with my Riga Cambridge Audio amp and my speakers, is not fair. I mean, let's face it. I agree. It's absolutely not fair at all because in this soundbar, I'm presuming there's an amplifier which is absolutely nowhere near the quality of my Cambridge audio amplifier, and it's all built in. I mean, let's face it. It's a weird sort of design of a speaker, but it seems to produce fairly reasonable results. So, of course, I compared some pop with pop records which I've actually got. For example, I compared Blondie's Atomic on record, vinyl, the original vinyl release, and also on the soundbar. And well, obviously, my conclusion was that the record was a much better listening experience. I mean, the bass guitar, the notes on the record, you can almost see the fingers plucking the strings. And on the soundbar, you don't get that. Yeah, I know. Again, it's not fair comparing. I guess if I connected up some really good speakers and a good amplifier to the streaming, it would sound, much, much better. Maybe as good as, maybe better than, who knows? Maybe better than my Riga. I don't know. So I suppose that would be the next step for me. So yeah, I mean, but it sounds good enough with pop and rock. It's good enough for me. It still sounds, quite impressive for what it is. And I would say that it sounds better than my car CD system. So, it's definitely good enough for pop and rock. And for most classical, it's good enough, even though it's not, in my opinion, really anywhere near as good as what I'm listening to on my records. The, I mean, just to illustrate one problem that I've had, I wanted to listen to Bach sonatas and partitas with Victoria Molova playing. I've always dreamed about hearing it, but I've never had the record. And she made a recording. I found it eventually on Spotify. I listened, and unfortunately, I just was not impressed with the sound quality. More so, in fact, when I boosted the sound up on the soundbar, the violin was virtually shredding my ears. Now, this is one of the reasons why uh, on a record, playing solo violin on a record, even pumping the volume up, for me, that doesn't happen. My ears are not shredded. Everything's fine. I can lift the volume up. I can push the volume on a record in the same way that I can't do, with this soundbar. Again, with a better amplifier and decent speakers, really good speakers, maybe I would notice that I get the same kind of presentation as I do with the record, even if I boost the sound. But this is a problem I've had with CD, with streaming, with digital sound on the whole, even with better systems, that when you push the sound up, it becomes a problem. You get listening fatigue, whereas with records, that doesn't tend to happen. Look, I'm absolutely delighted with the soundbar and with my Spotify listening experience, at least for pop and rock and some classical. So this is by no means the end of me listening to records, definitely not. But I just wanted to report that, I'm really impressed with Spotify. I'm enjoying streaming. I'm listening to pop and rock during the day while I'm working. I've got playlists running. I'm building up my own playlist, and it's really absolutely mind-boggling that Spotify can offer virtually every single piece of commercially released music from the 50s all the way through to the present day for £11.99 a month. That is something which is it just boggles my mind if you consider how much we used to have to pay for music on vinyl or even or on CD as well. Okay, well that's about it. Let me know what you think. What's my next step up from this soundbar for listening on Spotify? What's the next level up? I mean, I believe that this sells for about £150 with a subwoofer, which, let's face it, is not a lot of money. I got it for nothing, so I'm bound to be delighted with it. But I'd just be curious, what do you think I should be going for now, moving up a level to improve my streaming experience? And let me know if you agree with me on, the thing about digital sound. When you push the volume up, listening fatigue sets in. It's difficult to listen to. Whereas with vinyl, when you do that, doesn't really seem to be a problem. And my comments about pop music on this sounds better than classical music does. I don't know what you think about that, whether that's valid at all. Well, it's valid for me, it's subjective. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.